will you do when they catch you? What will you do if they break you?
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. That's how the film opens, and that's about as close as you're going to get to the original opening of any other Star Wars movie. Welcome to Red Reviews. Today we are checking out a Star Wars story, Rogue One, a Star Wars story, Star Wars Rogue One, however it's going to be titled at the time. It's just going to be Rogue One. Now, Rogue One, of course, if you don't know, if Disney hasn't done a good enough job explaining it, it takes place right before Episode 4, A New Hope. In the crawl for A New Hope, they mentioned these rebels had stolen the plans for the Death Star, the ones that R2-D2 delivers to Obi-Wan Kenobi, that recruits Luke Skywalker, that sets everything in motion. This is the story of those rebels and how they stole those Death Star plans. And overall, it's a really good movie, actually. I didn't know if it was a story worth telling. And a side note, it's the best prequel of the Star Wars movies. I know that bar hasn't been set real high, but people I would define anything that happened before New Hope as a prequel, even though this takes place right up to 4 minutes before A New Hope begins. But we'll try not to get into too many spoilers. We'll let you know when we're about to hit the mark where we're going to get into spoilers. Overall, really good Star Wars movie, actually. For the first, I would say, third of it, I wasn't sure if I was on board or not. It didn't flow for me much like a Star Wars movie, even though it was in the same universe. But then once a certain point hit, and we'll go into the spoilers, where just to allude to it, the rebels, the band of rogues, start really get together, and we finally define what we need to do, that we need to get these plans. Then the movie takes off. To get to that point, for me, was a little bit of a rocky start, just inside of a story that is the first time not titled an episode number. So other than that, though, it's a beautiful film. It has some of the best space battles. The battles that happen at the end of this movie I would consider to be one of the best battle sequences of all the Star Wars movies. Like I said, space battles are great. It's really beautifully done. The costumes are just like they were back then, except just, they're a little bit newer just because of today's technology. But it's good to see some old friends. By that, if you've seen the trailer, Darth Vader's in it, and he does a good job. He's not in it a whole lot, so if you're going in it to see more Darth Vader, you're not going to see too much of him. The Death Star, seeing it completed, learning a little bit more about how it does what it does and why it does what it does and why it was built was interesting. You felt for the characters a lot more than any of the three prequels too, and they only had one movie to develop all these characters, and they did a really good job. Donnie Yen, he's in there. We got Felicity Jones. So they did really good casting. Yeah, and of course, tons of Easter eggs and allusions to where we're going, which would be Episode 4. That was really well done. I'm gonna let you touch on some of these things, but I thought, for the most part, except for the Rocky Star, I had a really great time with this movie.
Yeah, I mean, the technology that they used it made sense. I mean, it was a little bit better than watching Episode 1. I mean, because it's they had new concepts of how things were supposed to look in the past, but it looked too futuristic and stuff. So in this, it felt like more that speed of, but the technology was at the period of time that stuff started getting better, started going to Episode 4 and everything up and all this. I thought every ship that they had in it was just awesome because they were like, oh, this is transport ship. Oh, this is their Rogue One ship, and I was like, these are kind of cool. I mean, I would buy the toys. I mean, because they were just interesting.
They would love you to buy the toys.
Oh, I know that. But they were just, I mean, things that they added to it, but only gripe I had was certain parts in it didn't flow very well. I mean, we didn't, there was just crazy spots that were just oh, you're just getting it. You're just getting it. And then I was like, really? That we just got there, I mean, slow down a little bit. But they didn't. They just went straight in on it. And it was, overall, I did like the movie. It's just, the speed and stuff and going into it. But also, some of the characters, they just, they showed up out of nowhere. They weren't really oh, this is what this guy does. They didn't really talk about their names, each person individually saying, hey, I'm,
I can remember Jen Urso just because she's the main one that everyone's going to take away from it. She's on all the public publicity material and stuff like that. But when it comes down to it, like the pilot, he was just, like, I would just know him as the pilot.
Mhm.
That's how I keep referring to him. I'm sure he had a name, but like once again, this is all just on one viewing. Once we fast forward like a year from now, much like The Force Awakens, I'm sure I'll be able to recite word for word the movie and I'll know all their names. Coming out of it from the first viewing, though, the pilot, the blind man, Donnie Yen's character, I'll call him the blind man because I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't even do the whole circle around saying who they are. That's just weird because, in every Star Wars movie, you've heard their names about like 400 times before, they actually do something.
I know, like the first time I meet Luke Skywalker, Luke. Like, it's like the first time we meet him, they're just pounding his name in your head. Like, remember this guy's name. He's going to be a big deal.
Yeah. And then this just went on and on. I mean, there was just characters that you probably are important, but you don't remember their names. I mean, I don't even remember there's a certain robot in the film, and you didn't...
K2SD?
Yeah,
I think.
I don't know. I mean, but he was a cool character. I mean, out of robots, I'm going to say he actually did something.
He was the comic relief that we wanted Jar Jar to be, but not done in a Jar Jar way. Like, all of his jokes and lines landed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you've seen Interstellar, the way that robot has like the humor setting, that's what it reminded me of. Is he had jokes and he had humor, and it was a dry humor though. Like, oh, we'll get sucked in the vacuum of space and die. I won't because I'm a robot, but you will. Like, it's fun. Like, it's the humor we wanted Jar Jar to be, but not done in a Jar Jar way.
Yeah, and also that was also another point I wanted to point out, that they actually didn't do that much comedy as much as they usually do in Star Wars. They try to do too much, and then it's like, oh, okay, we got joke after joke after joke, and it's like, no, not in this. It's plain and it's pretty serious in a lot of points, but and I'm glad that they did that. This is the first serious Star Wars movie I've ever seen, so I'm glad.
Well, we'll hit this mark, and then we'll just wrap it up as we would a normal review, and then stick around, and then for the next couple of minutes, we'll talk into spoilers. So if you're going to see the movie, we'll tell you, go watch it. I definitely would give it. I would give it an A. Upon leaving it, I think The Force Awakens is a little bit better, and I don't know if that's because we had to wait 10 years to get The Force Awakens, and so that hold a special place in my heart all the time. But I would say, man, ranking the movies would be hard. This is definitely up there. I mean, we'll put the prequels down at the bottom, but I think still A New Hope is the best. But I would rank this up there with The Force Awakens, maybe right up there, maybe slightly below Empire Strikes Back. Empire Strikes Back's so legendary, but it has the same sort of tone as Empire Strikes Back, of just... You're not going to say, like, the day is saved, but we got our asses kicked along the way. So I put it up. I definitely it's in the A range. So we'll go A, just to play it safe.
Well, me, I'm going to say B. Probably a B plus, maybe B minus, around there. I'm not so sure, but it's good. I mean, I'll go see it again, maybe, but not in theaters. So I'll definitely get it on DVD, Blu-ray, but I would suggest not seeing it multiple times, because to me, it's worth seeing it once, saying, hey, I experienced this with friends and family, but other than that, it's not worth seeing like multiple times for me. But yeah.
So there you are. The first, and not good for, it's good for the first movie to not take place episodic. The first attempt at one of these anthology ones, I mean, they did a really good job, I think. So we got in the B range to the A range. So go check out Star Wars Rogue One.